Taxpayer-funded babysitting and Uber service, free medical care whether you want it or not, and now complimentary hotel stay. All courtesy of the lawless Biden administration and your taxpayer dollars for illegal aliens. The question is, how many Americans voted for all of this? Here to discuss is Florida Congressman Greg Steube. Congressman, always great to see you. Tennessee's governor denied a request to house unaccompanied illegal alien children in his state. But at least 4 planes full of adults and kids landed in the middle of the night, the dead of night. Here's Press Secretary Jen Psaki admitting the federal government released the illegal aliens in Tennessee anyway.
So children have been traveling through Tennessee. They are simply on their way to unite with relatives and sponsors, to meet sponsors in the state, or just traveling through Tennessee until they reach another destination to unite with family members or legal sponsors.
Congressman, your reaction doesn't seem like the administration much cares about public opinion.
No, they want to promote their progressive leftist open borders agenda. Thankfully, states like Florida have filed lawsuits against the Biden administration on some of their executive orders. But I asked every state, like they just talked about Tennessee, every state where this is occurring, we have states' rights under our U.S. Constitution. These states need to start, their attorney generals of each of these states need to start filing lawsuits against the Biden administration. And I know it takes time, but eventually those cases will get to the U.S. Supreme Court and be able to reverse some of this completely unconstitutional actions that's happening from our administration, and then send these individuals back because they are currently breaking federal law. Everything that's happening on our border right now, the executive orders by the Biden administration, is in strict violation of federal law. And states need to start standing up in opposition to this, like states like Florida and Texas and others have done. And I know it takes time to go through the court system, but by golly, we've got to have these states start standing up for our constitutional rights and get the administration and these orders to the U.S. Supreme Court and knock these orders down so that lawful orders and the law of the land can supersede the orders of the Biden administration.
It was the states that created the federal government, not the other way around. You signed a letter, in other news, to the Biden administration calling them to support Israel while they're under attack from terrorists. Today, the Biden administration reopened the Jerusalem consulate and expanded their outreach to terrorists in Hamas who run the Palestinian territory. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu decried the U.S. trying to restart the Obama Ayatollah nuke deal. Listen.
The second point is naturally is Iran. We discussed many regional issues, but none is greater than Iran. And I can tell you that I hope that the United States will not go back to the old JCPOA, because we believe that that deal paves the way for Iran to have an arsenal of nuclear weapons with international legitimacy.
Now, he did that right in front of Antony Blinken. And in my mind, it's fitting to embarrass an embarrassing administration, no?
No, absolutely. I'm glad he did that and called the administration out for what they're doing and what they're talking about doing. Under no circumstances should the United States government give a pathway for the Iranians to get a nuclear weapon. And I'm glad that Netanyahu set them out and called them out for that, because the Biden administration wants to go back to that. They reversed a lot of the Trump policies that we've had in place on sanctions against Iran. Look what's happening in Israel right now. There's no coincidence that the Biden administration reversed a Trump policy prohibiting money, your tax dollars, from going to the Palestinian Authority. In April, the Biden administration reversed that, and $250 million of our taxpayer dollars went to the Palestinian Authority. It is no coincidence that months later, rockets are being launched by Hamas into Israel. Hamas is supported by the Palestinian Authority. That is not the direction for the safety and security of our largest ally in the Middle East, Israel, and that is not the position that we should be having as an American government for the safety and security of the American people.
Last thing I want to talk to you about is what's going on in your home state. Governor Ron DeSantis, well, he's doing great things. Florida's big tech bill that they just passed, which will enforce fines on social media platforms that ban state politicians, also allows for Floridians to sue if they're censored by big tech. Here's what DeSantis had to say.
When you deplatform the president of the United States, but you let Ayatollah Khomeini talk about killing Jews, that is wrong.
Well, this is real leadership in my mind. Don't more states need to follow Florida's lead?
Absolutely, 100%. And I wish we, the Republicans, had the majority in Congress right now, because we would pass a similar bill. I have a Section 230 bill that would do a very similar thing and allow individuals, businesses, and otherwise, like the New York Post, when their story about Hunter Biden got censored from Twitter, to be able to sue and have a private right of cause of action. Right now, those big tech companies have complete liability protection under Section 230. So, of course, they're going to behave in the manner in which they behave because they're run by a bunch of progressive leftists. And so they're going to push that agenda. So I'm glad that states like Florida are standing up against that. And I ask more states that are run by Republicans and conservatives to stand up against this big tech censorship, because until Biden gets out of office and the Republicans take Congress back, the only fight that we have against them is at the individual state level in states like Florida.
Yeah, quit robbing the American people of their right to go after these big tech companies, which are abusing the law, in my opinion, and abusing their customers. Congressman Steube, always a pleasure to talk with you, sir. When we